Hello there. I'm a little bit late because there was a lot of traffic and I was coming fast as good I could, and I'm just coming here. Hello everybody. I have a shoot today and I'm glad I'm ready for it. Coffee is for the old people, but I'm seeing that in younger generation as well, especially when I come from USA to India. I think it's a big problem, but I'm feeling fine. And let's get started with the video, Save the Universe. Hi, my name is Avadhesh Agarwal. I'm from USA. I'm a NASA scientist. I have worked on a space shuttle, space station, interplanetary mission design, and a lot of missile work. I'm a guidance and control engineer. Talking about science, it has done very well in the last 100 years, but science has advantages and disadvantages like global warming, climate change, and drought and everything else.
When you think about basic research, you never really know where that's going to go. For example, Einstein didn't know that when he was figuring out special relativity that would lead to big breakthroughs in technology later on.
Science has done very well in 100 years. Previously we used to travel in bullock carts, now we go in airplanes. And we used to write letters, now we write internet messages. We used to not get even the shots for the babies, now we have CAT scan and MRIs. Science has done very well in underwater, over the space and everything. As a disadvantage, 100 years ago, we used to fight with guns and slow-moving aircraft. Today we have nuclear assets, we have bombers, missiles, and submarines. Let's talk about few of the technology, that is nuclear science, environmental science, bioscience, and medical. About the nuclear technology, we have about 1,500 to 2,000 nuclear bombs. And with all those bombs, we can pretty much wipe out our civilization. But we can save ourselves by dismantling nuclear. How can we save ourselves additionally is we have to change our minds, we have to change ourselves, and that's one of the ways.
3 reasons why we should stop using nuclear energy. 1. Nuclear weapons proliferation. Nuclear technology made a violent entrance onto the world stage. Just 1 year after the world's first ever nuclear test explosion in 1944, 2 large cities were destroyed by just 2 single bombs. After that, reactor technology slowly evolved as a means of generating electricity, but it's always been intimately connected with nuclear weapons technology. It's nearly impossible to develop nuclear weapons without access to reactor technology. In fact, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty serves the purpose of spreading nuclear reactor technology without spreading nuclear weapons with limited success. In 40 years, 5 countries have developed their own weapons with the help of reactor technology. The fact of the matter is that it can be very hard to distinguish a covert nuclear weapons program from the peaceful use of nuclear energy. In the 1970s, the big nuclear powers were happily selling peaceful technology to smaller countries, which then developed weapons of their own. The road to deadly nuclear weapons is always paved with peaceful reactors. 2. Nuclear waste and pollution. Spent nuclear fuel is not only radioactive, but also contains extremely poisonous chemical elements like plutonium. It loses its harmfulness only slowly over several tens of thousands of years. And there is also a process called reprocessing, which means the extraction of plutonium from spent nuclear fuel. It can be used for two purposes: to build nuclear weapons or to use it as new fuel. But hardly any of it is used as fuel because we don't have the right kind of reactors for that. A milligram will kill you, a few kilograms make an atomic bomb, and even an inconspicuous country like Germany literally has tons of the stuff just lying around because reprocessing sounded like a good idea decades ago. And where will all the waste go? After dumping it into the ocean was forbidden, we've tried to bury it, but we can't find a place where it will definitely stay secure for tens of thousands of years. Over 30 countries operate nearly 400 reactors, managing several hundred thousands of tons of nuclear waste, and only one is currently serious about opening a permanent civilian waste storage: tiny Finland. 3. Accidents and disasters. Over 60 years of nuclear power usage, there have been 7 major accidents in reactors or facilities dealing with nuclear waste. 3 of those were mostly contained, but 4 of them released significant amounts of radioactivity into the environment. In 1957, 1987 and 2011, large areas of land in Russia, Ukraine and Japan were rendered unfit for human habitation for decades to come. The number of deaths is highly disputed, but probably lies in the thousands. These disasters happened with nuclear reactors of very different types in very different countries and several decades apart. Looking at the numbers, we may as well ask ourselves, are 10% of the world's energy supply worth a devastating disaster every 30 years? Would 30% be worth another Fukushima or Chernobyl somewhere on Earth every 10 years? What area would have to be contaminated so we say no more?
There have been many nuclear, environmental and terrorism disasters. Here are some nuclear accidents. Some examples of chemical accidents. similarly terrorism disaster.
Ku Klux Klan attacks. This white supremacist group killed more than 3,000 former slaves and their white Republican allies in the United States within the span of about 100 years.
But you're wearing the robes of traditional terrorists, of traditional haters.
Munich Massacre. The Palestinian militant group Black September took the entire Israeli national team hostage. The slaughtering of 11 athletes and coaches and one German police officer after the 16-hour standoff was all supposedly assisted by German neo-Nazis. 26/11 Mumbai attacks. The attack on the Hotel Taj Mahal was the battleground of a 64-hour-long battle between India's military and a terrorist group, causing a loss of 100 lives of the people checked in at the Taj. 9/11. Ranked as the worst terrorist attack in U.S. history, mainstream media indicated that 4 passenger planes were hijacked by 19 al-Qaeda terrorists in order to fly them directly into the Twin Towers in New York City. Almost 3,000 people perished that day, and airport security has never been tighter.
And here's some environmental issues. We could be trapped in one of those disasters or accidents, and how can we save ourselves? As we have to change ourselves. When you change our mind and change ourselves, God will help us, and God will move us from disaster area to safe area. Medical science has been coming up with the human lives. In the olden times, there used to be less disease, people were more healthy, so medical science was weak. But as the people have taken over centuries, and they're getting more and more sick because of the environment, and science has become factories and smoke and everything. So science has been also developing so that it can interface with human lives and cure them.
Our story starts in 1896 in Sweden with this guy, Svante Arrhenius, a chemist. Arrhenius is the first person to figure out that putting CO2 into the atmosphere could make the Earth warmer. But the prevailing wisdom of the time says that there is an infallible balance of nature which no human actions could ever possibly disturb, so nobody takes Arrhenius very seriously until 1938, when an engineer named Guy Stewart Callender decides to look at global temperatures recorded over the past 50 years or so and figures out, hey, what do you know, the Earth is getting warmer. War breaks out in 1939. Ends in 1945. And as the world's economy recovers, industrial production goes into overdrive. The burning of coal and oil puts so much sulfur pollution into the atmosphere that it partially blocks the sun's rays, and the world actually gets slightly cooler over the next 3 decades. In 1995, an international group of scientists issues the first public statement that there is a discernible human influence on global climate. In 2001, they predict that 21st century warming will leave the 20th century in the dust. Over the next decade, some of the anticipated effects of global warming start happening. Things like rising oceans, intense droughts and heat waves, and powerful storms. The 15 hottest years in history have all occurred since 1998, and 2015 is on track to be the hottest year ever recorded.
Medical research is not helping environment. Decentralized medical research is absolutely necessary. Medical waste is becoming a problem. It is like billions of dollars of industry. It is going from hospital to playing grounds where kids are getting sick and they're coming back to the hospital.
Let's talk about biotechnology. Biotechnology is a science that is based on biology. Every life form is made of DNA. which are the building blocks of every life form. By modifying these building blocks through biotechnology, we can make a corn healthier. At the same time, resistant from bugs and pests. Biotechnology has a lot of advantages in many areas. For instance, in the medical field, we can select the vitamins and minerals we want a certain host plant to acquire. Imagine a life where most of the food you eat are filled with vitamins and minerals.
There have been biodiversities and losses because of decaying wood, decaying plants, decaying insects, decaying animals, but there have been some advantages in science has brought where we are storing the images and retrieving them from insect DNA. Also, gene drives are controlling the disease and through animals or insects. There have been some biotech solutions which science has brought, and you will be able to see them here. There's so much going on in bio and medical that could potentially kill us, the whole of our civilization. So how do we save us? Again, as I said before, we have to change our mind, change ourselves so that God will help us. And if you don't want to change yourself, then you have to be part of this chemical and bio disaster. Let's hope there is a Superman coming and helping us. We've been looking for the Superman. Superman will be actually inside you. You'll be saving yourself and universe, and good luck.